Welcome back to the Parkinson's Advantage. We're going to step 2. This is about supplements. So I call it only the best supplements. So remember, supplements, brands do matter. So what are you putting in your body? If you're using any supplements, you may like, I'm not going to even do that. Or I don't even know where to start. First, I'm here to help you. I am a medical doctor, holistic medical doctor, family medicine physician, board certified in both. And I also teach yoga and laughter yoga. And the whole purpose of all this is to get you well. Remembering supplements way back when, before we had prescription medicines, that's what we used. And a lot of prescription medicines are based on botanicals or herbs and stuff like that. So when we're using these supplements, we want to make sure first that they're evidence-based, which is what we're going to be doing. The second part is we want to make sure they're coming from good sources or good brands. Because honestly, if you get it from certain places, Walgreens, Walmart, they may have soybean oil. This can be from CVS and Walgreens. I'm not just limiting it to those places. But look at the contents. If it has soybean oil, dyes, they're gummies, it can have a lot of sugar in them as well. So I highly recommend getting capsules or something that is absorbable. Liquid tends to work really well. And the important part is doing something on a consistent basis and getting help from an expert, somebody who knows what they're doing. There is something called a nutritional test where you can actually make sure if you're taking supplements or vitamins that they're actually working in your body, your body's absorbing it, and you're feeling better. So let's get started with some optimal supplements. So that's the O in MOVE. So that acronym I was talking about, 4 steps. We started with mastering the mind. That was earlier. We're going to go to optimal supplements right now. So things that help with brain function. We know in Parkinson's, the dopamine is lower. So L-Dopa can actually help raise dopamine naturally. And these are supplements. I've worked with several patients with this, including my father. So my dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's several years back, and his doctor told him, usually whatever dose of Parkinson meds you're going to be on, you usually have to keep going up on the dosing. For 3 years, he was on the lowest dose. After COVID hit, stress hit as well, and he wasn't exercising or doing what he really needed to do, including his good nutrition. So he did up his supplements by small amounts. Not supplements, his medication for Parkinson's, just a small amount. But we know now that if he gets back to his routine, his exercise, we may be able to go back, or at least it's been 3 years and he hasn't had to up his Parkinson's meds, which I was like, that's still progress. So we want to make good progress, and he's functioning, which I'm happy he's moving. When I first saw him with his diagnosis, he was in slow motion. Now he's moving at his normal speed. So we're going to keep, praying good things. We know, what you do does matter. So we'll be talking about movement in just a moment, but let's get back to the supplements. So I mentioned L-Dopa for raising dopamine naturally, and we know dopamine helps with our movements. Secondly, fish oil. We need anti-inflammatories. Typically with Parkinson's and any other types of diseases of the brain, we know there's a lot of inflammation in the body. We can think of swelling. Now, short-term inflammation, not necessarily a bad thing. If you hit your arm and it swells, that's your immune system trying to work to fix it. But chronic inflammation, that elbow is swollen for years or decades or anything like that, that's not good. And the same in our brain. If it's all tangled, it's not working where the neurons are connecting, we can have trouble thinking, moving, any other activities. So really important to kind of get our bodies in the right direction so we feel better. So fish oil, really good. Again, brand does matter. And I have a list I'm going to be providing you with. If you get this program, it tells you all the different supplements, and with dosing, we can modify it depending on what your body needs. So if you are using certain supplements and they are coming from areas with, it doesn't say USP or GMP on the bottle, I would probably hold off. And if you can find out where it's manufactured and if they do any third-party testing for contaminants. If it does have any contaminants, you probably want to avoid that. as well. So really, really important to get great brands. We can, again, provide you with that list. So I mentioned L-Dopa, fish oil. Turmeric is really good for joint pain. So if you're suffering with arthritis, that's another supplement I recommend. And remember, you can get these in liquid form. So those would be the first 3 I would start. And you may say, I don't want to take so many pills. I get it, but it's okay to ask yourself what kind of quality of life, and if my body really needs something, if this will take me to the edge or over the edge in a good way where I'm functioning fine, having the energy I desire, is it worth it too? And again, what are you feeding yourself? In turn, now we're on to supplements. Are we feeding ourselves nutrition, good nutritious food in general? Most of the food we know that is not healthy, it's not, some people are eating a lot of junk food, it's not providing us with nutrients. So these supplements can help in addition to a healthy diet. So magnesium is my third go-to. It's involved in several different reactions in the body, almost 300 reactions, and it is a mineral that can be depleted when we're under stress. So think about what we're going through right now with this pandemic. Many people are stressed out, so that magnesium can replete that body. It helps with muscle spasms. It's a natural muscle relaxer, and it can actually help with cognition. It helps with bone density because it helps with the calcium to get into your bodies with that absorption. It is involved with sleep. It helps you sleep better. And those are some of the major. It also lowers blood pressure, yeah, and can help with blood sugar. There's so many other reactions it does in the body for benefit, but those are kind of the major ones that I stress with patients because they're like, I want to sleep better, I want to have more energy, I want to be able to do the things I love to do. Magnesium is a wonderful cofactor. It works with a lot of different reactions for those things and can help also balance hormones, which is great too. So, and it's very calming. So we have those 4 supplements. That's where it would be my go-to. I'm going to mention some other supplements if this is affecting you. So for sugars, we know with other inflammatory conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, our sugars can go up. And cinnamon is actually evidence-based, simple, that comes in a supplement form, or yes, you can sprinkle the spice. I would get organic on your foods, not in oatmeal, because remember oats, like especially the instant oatmeal, and we'll get to the foods in a moment, but those types of foods can be rapidly degraded and inflammatory. So for cinnamon, I usually put it maybe on, you can put it on an apple, organic apple, or some other foods that you're cooking if you're doing lentil soup. And the nice thing, or even on eggs, I've sprinkled, it's really good. But otherwise you can get the supplement, and there are different doses we can talk about what's needed for your body. But cinnamon is also a wonderful way to lower your blood sugar. And it can lower hemoglobin A1C, your average blood sugar, by 1 point, which I think is incredible. The other thing is Gymna. We know, what do a lot of people like to eat in this country? Yeah, what do most people eat a lot of? Sugar. Yeah, and it tastes good. Does anybody not like sugar? Yeah, I like sugar too. But the problem is sugar, I'm talking about processed sugar, may like our thighs, our belly. It can increase into almost every organ, leading to blindness, kidney failure, heart failure, just especially increased risk for cancers, especially when it's getting higher and higher and we can't dispose of it. So there are folks, yes, that eat sugar and they're fine, but then there's a lot of folks that don't. And if you're suffering with Parkinson's, diabetes, we know that the sugar is not a good segue or a good supplement or food to put it into your body on a regular basis. So what do? There is something called Gymna, Gymnema, which is a supplement that helps reduce sugar cravings. I think it's godsend. It makes sugar taste yucky, but the reason that's important is if we don't have that association of sugar, I feel good. Because again, we'll feel good in that moment, but how do we feel several, an hour, a few hours later if we way too much sugar, a gallon of ice cream, or just something like, we're feeding our emotions with sugar. How does that make us feel? Yeah, long-term, not so good, especially if we get more pounds on us, that'll just weigh in on our bodies and make us feel heavier and more joint pain. So instead, Gymna can be a great source to reduce those cravings. The other things that I love for cognition, because a lot of times people say I'm so foggy headed, and that can come from medication. So paying attention if you're taking a statin medicine or others, and there are healthy substitutions for that instead. But if you're using that and you really want to help with focus, there are a bunch of supplements for that. Phosphatidylserine, and again, I'm going to give you that list. I'm just going to go through it fairly quickly in the interest of time. Bacopa, ginkgo, and again, it does matter the brand and source, because you may say, well, I've been taking ginkgo, it's not working. It depends where you're getting it from and the dosing that you're taking, and is it actually containing the active ingredients? Because since supplements are not regulated, some people, and they're considered food, they can have it on the market. Ginkgo, it's 120 milligrams, but they only contain 60 milligrams of the dose, or not even much ginkgo at all. And again, it can have soybean oil or some other things, added fillers, which are more inflammatory. So you're really not getting the full benefit that you could from the purest form of that supplement. Let's see, what was the others? Oh, for mood. So how often, if you get diagnosed with Parkinson's, and now I'm going to call it Penelope or something like a fun name, or if you haven't changed the diagnosis name, I would highly recommend, because it makes you feel better. It reframes, reshapes it in your head. So call it something. What's the name? Okay, so if you get diagnosed with that, how does that make you feel? I know, a lot of people are like, I don't feel so good. I'm feeling sad, down, maybe not sleeping as well. So there are mood elevators, supplements to elevate your mood that can help you so you have more energy doing the things you want to do. So one of those things that I love are the B vitamins, helps with brain function, and it also can give you some good energy. B12, again, good brands, and sometimes the form underneath the tongue tends to be a good form. Some people get it injected, methylated, a little more absorbable for those folks that don't methylate or don't have that certain reaction in their body to absorb that B vitamin adequately. So I usually just say take the methylated forms. That way, if you do have that MTHFR deficiency, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry about it right now. But there are some people that just don't absorb the regular B vitamins. You need a special form. Other things to help elevate mood are L-theanine, St. John's wort. Again, we can tell you good brands for this. I also use 5-HTP, especially with people with Parkinson's, can make a huge difference, or Penelope's. I know, I have to work on remembering to change names or reframe. We all do. And again, paying attention to your words. Just going back to the earlier lesson, it does matter. And for boosting the immune system, so key. So and let me just go back. For sleep, melatonin, also really good. And again, it depends. That's usually for shift workers. I have a lot of patients using cannabis. That is really amazing, and it's indicated for Parkinson's, Penelope, but really good to help with sleep, for mood. Again, it's the right brand. We educate you, and I do certify patients for cannabis, but we work with you so you're not feeling like lost. There are patches, and there are ones that have just CBD, so it will not get you high. There's a lot of different forms out there, and if you just need a little bit of THC, we can work with you that way as well. Small doses, and you can combat it with CBD if it's ever too strong. And lavender essential oils, wonderful for mood. They also have cheer, which definitely elevates that mood as well. So those are my go-to. There are more, but those are kind of the main ones. And then for the immune system, especially with everything going on now, now more than ever, we need to keep our immune system strong and healthy. Yes, so important. So what are you taking? This is what the literature says for COVID. Vitamin D, and it does matter which type. I would do the D3 with K2 and check your levels. Remember, they should be like a test score above 60, so I recommend 70 to 100. Wonderful values. Those are the optimal ranges. The normal range is 30 to 100, but if you're on the lower spectrum, not so good. It's better to be on the higher, where your body's really absorbing that vitamin D and it's elevated in a good way, not extremely high, but in the upper normal ranges. And then it does matter the type, the brand, again, making sure there's not added fillers. So I usually recommend Carlson's. I also use pure encapsulations. Douglas Labs is also good. Again, vitamin D is not very expensive, but you can recheck your levels, make sure your body is absorbing it well. The reason I say D3 versus D2, D2 has a short half-life, so you can sometimes get a prescription for D2. Now you can actually get a prescription for D3, so you can talk to your doctors about that. And most Floridians, they say, oh, I'm in the sun, my vitamin D must be through the roof, but people are using sunblock. Vitamin D is also absorbed through the gut, so if you're taking any acid blockers, Tums, Prilosec, all that will block that absorption well. Or if you're dehydrated, how many people are not drinking enough water? Their vitamin D can be low. So many different reasons for it, and even if you're getting a lot of sun, we still see folks, and they say they're sunbathers, but their vitamin D is just not getting absorbed for probably the other reasons I mentioned. So check your levels, that's subjective, and we can see what it is. Again, I'm happy to work with you with that. Let's see. So the next thing for the immune system is zinc, really good. And again, start low. Remember, zinc can make you feel nauseous, upset your stomach, cause diarrhea if you take too high a dose. I've heard of some folks taking 50. I wouldn't start there. I would start with probably 15 to 25. Again, we can work with you depending if you're taking any other supplements with it, and paying attention, what are you taking? Have somebody look at it, because I've had some folks take a multivitamin, they're taking zinc, they're taking this supplement and that, and they're overlapping and they're taking too much, and you don't want to do that either. You want to take just the right amount for your body. So take it with food, that tends to help. The other thing is astragalus can help the immune system. I use essential oils on guard, and breathe helps open up the nasal passages so you can breathe better. I have a gentleman I'm working with, he has asthma, he started using it, and several patients, they're starting to get off their inhalers because they can breathe better. Voila, makes a huge difference. So and remember, with steroids, it can depress the immune system. So if you're on Advair, that's a steroid inhaler, fluticasone. If you are taking steroids, prednisone, methylprednisone, of course, speak with your doctors, but if you are seeing a holistic doctor, they can work both prescription as well as not, so we can treat that whole person, making sure we're not missing anything. You don't want to do that either. And zinc, we mentioned. Oh, and vitamin C. All of us have probably heard of Linus Pauling, all the benefits of vitamin C. There are tons of benefits. Anatomy of an Illness, Norman Cousins speaks about those benefits to help him overcome ankylosing spondylitis, a severe degenerative arthritis, many different benefits. I have had some cancer patients taking vitamin C IV, and it's a specialized form, and they were able to manage their nausea, vomiting. They're able to keep the cancer at bay. Again, I don't say cure, but there are many different things out there that can keep your immune system strong. And remember, to get a virus, it has to replicate in our cells. If your immune system is so strong that that virus can't even get in, or you're fighting it so quickly, because we have kind of the frontline defense, which literally knocks things out. So you probably have heard of folks, even in their 80s, 90s, they just don't get colds, they rarely get sick, versus those who fight it off so quickly, versus the opposite, where they get really, really sick when somebody sneezes at them. So remember, your immune system does matter. And there are people, 100, 110, that are surviving COVID. How are they doing that? Again, a stellar immune system matters. So let's keep our immune system strong, healthy. It starts with our foods, our mental aspect, and let's move on to the next level. Thank you for joining in on supplements. There are more out there. Oh, I'll just mention one more. Alpha-lipoic is for neuropathy. Alpha-lipoic acid, resveratrol, a great antioxidant. It's what's in wine. Remember, and it doesn't have the alcohol component, but remember, alcohol is still a toxin to the body. It can start to eat at the liver or destroy it, especially as we go up in the amounts and how frequently we use it. I have folks who use it regularly and they're fine, but it's okay to detox. So if you do drink alcohol on a regular basis, your liver enzymes won't show up until they're more than 60% abnormal. So the body's resilient, it's gonna hang in there. But what happens is we think, oh, my liver enzymes are fine, so even though I'm drinking so much alcohol, it doesn't matter, my liver's fine. It could still be, starting to be impaired. Same with diabetes. When you get diagnosed with diabetes, you've probably had it for a decade. So your body, it tries again to hang in there. But when it gets impaired, that's why when people get a heart attack, some folks feel fine and then they get really sick. It's just their body, it can go kind of into end mode, which I always wish there was a warning signal for everyone. Some people do have it, thank God, but some people don't. It's okay to ask yourself, have you ever heard of somebody feeling fine and then they got really sick? That's why the body just breaks down quickly. It's that, it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. It's just like one little thing goes wrong and then everything just compounds. And that could be for you like getting the virus or getting something, that you just didn't know you had. So with alcohol, same thing. We need to step back, see how our bodies are functioning, which there are functional medicine tests that I order. It's much more than routine tests. So if you're interested, we can talk about it. But there's a GI effects profile. It actually checks the gut. If there's inflammation, toxin level buildup, if you need probiotics, which ones. It looks at the whole microbiome, which are all the different organisms in your system. So if I'm getting a little too technical, sorry about that, but I just want you to know that you can delve deeper into your health, and the more you're proactive, focusing on prevention, you can reduce your likelihood of getting sick and keep your body stronger, even if you're older. Because some people say, oh, it's too late for me now. I've done everything, possible. No, there's more tests, and I can promise you there are tests you've probably never had. If you had your toxin levels or your GI effects or Nutrival or hormone tests or early cancer tests, markers, great. Let's check for moles and some other things. If you're seeing a holistic or integrative doctor that's, well-versed in this, you probably have had these tests, but if not, highly recommend that so you can really get checked out to make sure we're not missing anything deeper. Especially with Parkinson's, if you have a toxin buildup, we can start getting those toxins out of you. So as I mentioned with alcohol, I'm not telling you to give up all your alcohol and never drink. You're probably like, I'm gonna go away from here if you say that. What I'm trying to say is just be proactive and pay attention to the amount, because that does matter. And then also how your body's functioning, because with Parkinson's, especially with certain medicines, it can make you sick. So I have, especially my dad, he had to stop the alcohol because it was not agreeing with him. And 5-HTP, which helps elevate mood, doesn't work well with alcohol. It can make you very sick and nauseous, and certain other medications too. So I'm sure in statin medicines, as you probably know, your doctor will talk to you, or I can explain it. And then let's see. So we talked about the major supplements. Let's get you going, get you well. You'll look at my little cheat sheet, but again, I can do one-on-ones so we can really get you to that next level. Thank you again for joining in on the optimal supplements part 2. Let's move on to part 3. Thank you.